try and make the most of having lead on him and try and actually get him to approach me a little and use leading to see if I can't get him to lead and soften him on either side of his body a little bit. So, you know, get him to look at me with his left eye a little better. And also his right side, because if you just come in and approach him like that, you know, he can sort of deal there, but then once you get to there, if anything happens, he just goes pop and takes off. And it's really, you know, sad that horses are so frightened of people, especially these horses that were apparently around people, but nobody knows exactly what happened to them. But it was a really bad rescue case in the sense of the stallions of the mares and that were rescued, and they were in a really bad state. But apparently a lot of the people who have taken on these rescue ponies, you know, all I think experiencing super sensitive, super nervous horses. So, you know, and even sometimes when you get a wild horse, they can be super nervous and super sensitive, but once they put trust in people and no bad things have happened, then, you know, they can turn around and be quite good with people and quite confident. So, but anyway, I'm going to see if I can just use a little bit of draw of leading. So, as I say, I could do a bit at liberty, but I've chosen just to use this lead rope just to help him get better at, you know, understanding that it's okay to have someone down his side. So what I'm going to start on, I'll just start on one eye at a time, for instance. So what I look at when I'm with horses is just trying to figure out, you know, what eye they want to look at me with the most. And so oftentimes you just get a horse to lead towards you as square as you can, as in just straight, and generally they'll tend to offset a little bit. So it looks at the moment he's trying to offset off to the, you know, he's offsetting his head off to the right a little more. And I would say if I was to just cross him over just a tad like this and just let him off, if he offsets back. So it seems to me that he's wanting to put his left eye on me more than the right eye. So if I just take him across here like this, he's trying to sort of, put that left eye on me a little more. So, you know, you got to think about it like this. Do I want to go down that side and try and handle him and then sort of have him half frozen ready to explode? Or do I want him just to start to accept that I'm okay on that side? So what I'm going to sort of work on is, firstly with his good side, is just if he can actually pass me instead of me going down his side. So, you know, see, I can go down here like that. He might be able to freeze. And if you were going to go down his side like that, you'd really have to be aware of all the signals he's offering you and go fairly steady. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to just get him walking, and I'm just going to just gently offset him on the side that he likes, which means I'm going to take him, lead him off to the left a little like this as best I can, and I'm just going to keep walking backwards. Now, the reason I'm walking backwards is because it keeps him following me, and it's really good to get a horse to follow something and also keep moving their feet. So I want his thoughts to follow me, but I want his feet to keep moving, and I'm going to do this lesson pretty well with him moving. I'm not going to do a lot of standing. I'd like you to stand so I can handle you. I just want him to keep moving towards me like this and just keep leading and leading and leading, because there's a few things we're going to have to address in him to be safer around people and not so explosive. So one of those ones is just getting him to lead just like this, just nice and steady. And I'm watching him closely to see if he starts to get a little softer and, you know, accept the fact that I'm just walking away from him and he's just following me, and he might let down, and you might see some signals that he's starting to let down, like he might start to sigh out a little bit, his muzzle might get a little looser, his eye will soften, things like that. So I'm just trying to, and also I'm watching the footfall. You know, I'm trying to see if he can just walk a little soft and just walk and be okay about that. And you know, and slowly what I'm going to be sort of doing is I'm going to be, you know, I might start having my hand here while I'm talking, and I'm just going to slowly use my steering rein here, which is my left hand, which is in my left hand, and I'm just going to use my right hand here. And I'm just going to start to just take all that brace out of him with this hand here, just by drawing him back and getting him to lead up. And I'm just going to get him slowly to get a little closer past me, or a little further past me with this left eye. Okay, so just so he can do that and come past me. Now this takes a little bit of time, But what you end up having is a horse that can pass you and keep moving its feet. And we're looking at that he can move his feet around me softly. He can just walk softly instead of just stand ready to move. So a lot of horses that like this that you handle, they're just standing ready to sort of blow away from you. So that's why I put a lot of value on just keeping him walking softly until he can actually walk by me, moving without freezing. You notice just there when he went a little further than he'd like, he froze and he just stuck to the ground. And so I'm just going to unfreeze him with that lead rope, and I'm just going to keep drawing him around like that. And I'm just going to keep in here, and I'm just imagining that I'm drawing him in, and I'm just kind of passive in my body language in the sense that I'm just stepping off him a little, and he's sort of coming into me and getting closer into me. So I'm using that leading hand just to draw him in and come in a little closer to me. And he's going to keep freezing like that. This is a difficult lesson, getting down the sides of these horses. But think of it like this. If you just kind of let him freeze and went down his sides and taught him to stand, well, you wouldn't have sort of taught him a lot of leading. So if they did sort of ping off or something like that, you wouldn't have exposed him to a lot of little lead up lessons. And then when you got down to that hind foot or something like that, then he's going to be pretty nervous. There, he just passed me a little there. So I'm just going to actually stop there and just acknowledge the fact that he actually did something there which he hadn't done, which was just walk a little forward and put himself by me with that eye a little. And so I'm not going to go to handling him just yet. I just want to know he can expose himself further down his body and move. Now you see that horse in the background just snorted, and he sort of just jumped out of his skin. Nearly made me jump out of my skin, but it's important that he jumped and I sort of stayed calm and more tree-like. So I encourage people just to be like a tree around their horses, not just completely still, but just have that groundedness of a tree. Because there'll be times I'm going to be coming in and handling him and doing that sort of stuff, and there's going to be times that he's going to need to understand that, you know, we're moving around him and it's okay, but we've got to get the general feeling of okayness first. You know, sometimes we get to desensitizing horses too quickly, and then all of a sudden they start to shut down, and then there's still a little explosion in there waiting for something to, you know, to really go wrong. So what we're sort of just trying to do is just get him a feeling of okayness, like just here like that. Good boy. I'm going to step away now, and I'm going to ask for that again. Simple lesson, just can you come by a little. Now this is even the other side. Oh, that's really nice. He kind of offered that a little stronger there, where he just said, oh, I can do that. And he instead of me sort of walking for a fair while till he offered, he just offered a little stronger. Good fella. Now I'm just going to do the same thing again. And you know, these horses are going to take, and that's nice. He's turning into me there with a little 4/4 yield. So as I said, I'm getting, I can get a couple of things done at the same time. So not only am I just getting him feeling a little better at coming down my side, I'm actually getting him to follow the feel of the rein a little better. And you see there, he was actually leading his 4/4 into me, and I was just leading him around. So he was starting to understand an open rein a little there, and that's going to help him later on, you know, because, you know, just to always be able to follow the feel of that rein is really important, and be confident with the reins. Because how many times do we leave our horses alone, tied up to a post or something like that? You know, they've really got to understand that these things are okay. So now I'm just going to come around in again. I'm just going to, there he goes. Now he's kind of holding himself in that position where he's just more closer to my, I'm closer to his ribs, or he's closer to my shoulder, in a sense that he's actually nearly put his shoulders past me there. And there he goes there. And he just walked by me just a tad there like that. And this is a process that you can help horses learn to lunge, because some people just chase their horse out on a circle, and that horse never really accepted going by them. So you can see just here, he's starting to accept that I can go by a little. But it's very important that you're not just trying to force them past where they're comfortable. Good boy. That was really nice there. He just actually walked past me in a straight line. Now, a lot of horses, anyone's dealt with horses like this, know that those horses that want to pin you on two eyes and not get you, not allow you past their hip, well, those horses, very hard to get down the hip. So for him to sort of walk by me in a straight line and let that hip go past me a little bit is quite confident. Now, I didn't pull him tight. I gave him a little space, see right there, and then he runs off a little, because that was a big thing for him to just walk by. But so I gave him the space to escape. I don't want him to feel like he's trapped. I don't want him to feel like he's, you know, I'm trying to force him in. So you know, once upon a time I used to, you know, climb down a rope and handle young horses and all that sort of thing, and you know, basically it became more efficient for me with the wild horses to get them to come down by me, and you know, I was more tree-like and more centered and had a stronger gravity, and taught the horses to draw into what I was doing, and just start to feel on me and come by. So I just want him to come by like that, and then he gets out to there and I just turn him back a little like that. So that was a big thing for him, just to come by me, and the more confident he gets at coming by me softly, the more he might start to accept coming by close, that we could actually handle him. And the other important thing, which I've sort of been talking about, was keeping them moving their feet. I don't want to know what a horse does when it's standing still. I don't want to ever get a surprise when they decide to move their feet. I would rather teach them to think softly and move their feet softly around me. So basically, by the time they actually choose to stand, then I know exactly what's going to happen when they move. Instead of trying to encourage them to stand and then sort of have what are they going to do when they move as a big surprise, is good little fella. So it's just a little lesson here, is can you walk by? Now you see, once he gets to that rib cage, he's going to rush past, and that's very common for these sort of horses, that they just get to that rib cage part and they just sort of get a little panic up, and they think they're going to skedaddle out over there. So I give him a little rein just to let him go, and then I just sort of draw him back, and the aim here is just to see how softly he can just come back into here and just walk by. And you're doing a good job, mate. Now I haven't handled him or anything yet, because so I'm just going to let him go there. There's no point mate putting a trap on him there. Just go back to what I was doing and just stand here solid. I'm not going to put a catch on him or anything like that. And you can see why these lessons are important, because once he got too far on that hind quarter there, he just sort of skedaddled, and yeah, I've got a short lead. I could have trapped him, I could have stepped out and pulled him around, but at this stage of training, there's no point doing that, because I want him to learn that he's got a bit of room to escape and flee away a little bit. So I'm just going to go in there and see if I can help him again. You know, making a horse like this feel a little too trapped is not a good thing, because he'll always believe that we might be the tiger or something like that. So we don't want him to believe that all the time. So I'm just going to come up here and just read his signals a little. And that's why I say what I'm doing now, approaching him just quietly to see if I can just get that rope back, is kind of how we handle the horse down their sides. And then they're always waiting to explode. So, you know, if I got him standing real still and went down his side, then that's always going to be in him, what he just did there. So hence why I'm trying to get him to move and keep moving until he starts to move softly and not try and move away. So I'm just going to gently come in there, and good little fella. There, just put a little draw on him. That was quite good there. I just sort of worked on his bubble, just gently touching his bubble till he kind of got a little more interested. Now remember the lesson I've just been doing. I've had the stronger gravity. I've been putting more draw in me than sort of coming in on him all the time. And that's what I want to make him believe. Hey, I've got the stronger draw here. And I want him to like my draw and feel confident around me. So when he's around me, he's going to feel like, you know, hey, this bloke's pretty calm, and he's, you know, he sort of seems to be in a good mood all the time, and no matter how bad things are, he kind of seems to always be smiling on the inside. And so maybe I get a bit of confidence in hanging around him, and that's kind of what we got to. You see there, I just touched his bubble a little, and he got a little flinchy from that. So I step away and relieve him from that, and then I'm just going to go up here again and just. There, I'm touching on his bubble where he's getting a little too nervous there, and start to sort of maybe think to the outside of where he might want to go to, and then he draws back in just a tad there, and I just kind of just relieve him of that pressure, so he's got a little time to think about what's happening. See, I touch his bubble just there. He gets a little nervous, but you see that little bit of draw coming in and interest. I might just come back there. It's only a tiny bit, but it's him sort of coming back a little bit. Good boy. There, and I feel a good draw there, so I'm going to step back and see if I can offer him a pathway to come back through into me. Good boy, and then he just sort of relaxes a little there, and I'm going to come in again. So another way you could get around your horses is, yeah, as I say, at Liberty, you know, just building up a relationship like this till they get more interested in you. But I also chose today to sort of do a leading lesson that also helps him, that makes him feel a little less like we're trying to haul him around and just handle him down the sides, because I believe for this little fella and the environment he's in, and the things that are going to need to be done with him in a certain amount of time, in the sense of doing his feet and stuff like that, it's really important, if we've already got a holder on him, to be able to teach him to be really solid in the halter, and also at the same time get him really confident in having us around him. So as I said, we're trying to fix two things, and try and make the halter as if it's not such a big trap on him. Good boy, good boy. So I'm trying to actually work on, instead of him, because when you handle him or catch him or anything like that, I notice he just sort of tips away and you kind of, you know, get stuff done and you get the halter on, but I want him a little drawn into my conversation a little. You see how much pressure that is, just having me close to him like that, and that's why, you know, I'm going to spend a bit more time getting him to move and draw into me, move and draw into me, so he's moving and not just standing there ready to possibly run away. He's a good little fella. There's a little fella. Hey? We're just going to sort of, I'm not going to get that rope off his back there. You're right, mate. I'm going to touch you, yeah. Good boy. You see that little bit of lean into me there? That's nice. There, and he's holding that thought into me pretty good there. I'm quite happy with that. I like that. He's really trying hard. You see how I just touched his bubble a little, rubbed on his bubble, and then I just kind of drew off it to see if I can draw him back again. Really want him to try and draw into me a little when he's coming here, like when I'm coming here like this. I want to just touch his bubble a little there. Oh, I got a bit more interest there. He's not tipping away so strong. So what we're trying to encourage these horses to do is soften their focus towards us when we go in and handle them. Okay, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to get just to catch on that rope there for a second, and I'm going to give him a time out because I've got something I've quickly got to go and do, and that'll be a good time to give him a break anyway. And I'm going to come back and revisit him in an hour. So I've got a live talk that I've got to do, so we're just going to go and do that. But this is really cool. He's starting to just hold that little bit of that's a little better. He's got that little bend towards me a little there, and gets a little timid, but he much improved. It took a fair few goes to get him in and get him to hold that little bit of a bend. He's a good fella. He wants help. He's one of those horses that really wants it. He just needs to know he can trust us enough for that help, and that was cool. He just came in, and there, see, he came in and he's kind of standing right there a little closer, but that took a little while, but all very important. That's really reading their signals. So I'm going to cut off now and just come back to this. So we just gave him a break. I did a live talk, and yeah, he's a really interesting little pony, and as the lesson that I'm kind of showing you guys at the moment. So I just finished off with just working on his bubble a little to get a little more draw on him, and funny that there's a lot of things in there that I can work on just at Liberty, getting him to sort of have a stronger thought towards me when I approach him and things like that. And that's something I might come back and do a bit more on. Actually, I'm thinking about doing that. But what I'm going to still sort of work on while I've got the lead on him and the halter, because it's just another angle we can come into, and it still won't be too offensive to him if you do it in the right way. Like if you just sort of had the rope on and used it to trap him, then basically he's always going to freeze and shut down a little bit, knowing that he can't go anywhere. Like those horses that know when the fence is there and they're in the corner, they have to stand still to catch him, but then at the same time, when you go out in the paddock, you go out and catch them and they run off. So, and this type of holder work is not, you're going to draw into him feeling softer, and it's not going to make him feel just because he's got a holder on he's trapped. But as I say, there's so much you can do at Liberty. So I'll just go back to where we were going. And you saw just that last bit of leading when his hip passed me. He panicked and spooked off a bit. Technically I should really have a longer lead on him, but I'll just see if I can keep persisting with this shorter lead and see how we go. But so I'm just going to go back to where we were, and I'll probably, because of the break, we have to start off where I started off again. You know, so you don't really ever, you know, just because they've had a break and they did something before doesn't mean they're just going to come straight in. Any lesson you do with a horse is going to be not what I did yesterday, but what's my horse offering today. Chances are, what I'm feeling, he's a little softer here. You see he's kind of willingly walking there a little soft, so I'm pretty happy with that. I've started pretty well on the, you know, off with him on the side a little bit. Now I haven't even gone to the other eye. That's the interesting thing. I haven't even done the other eye, and it wouldn't matter if you did the other eye today or not. You know, you can do, if you can get one side happening, then you can work on the other side. But the aim is to get the balance right. So I'm just going to gently walk him by here like that, and just let him off. Just let him relax. Good. And it doesn't matter how he settles, as long as, like, you know, he's starting to improve, and slowly but surely he's going to settle, hopefully with his shoulder against me. And that's all we're aiming to do in this lesson. You know, there'd be no, you know, you wouldn't want to sort of just move around till he stops moving and sort of catch his foot, because he's going to feel the same the whole of his life, though he might get, he'll just start shutting down and then still be ready to explode. So it's crucial that I got him thinking and moving his feet. I'm just going to stay here and wait for a second. He had a bit of a spook there. I try really hard not to spook myself every time they spook. I'm just going to start to walk here. He's got to try and fix that little brace he's got up there, and we're just going to go back to business. I'm walking backwards. I'm not walking in on him. I'm trying to just be fairly passive about what I'm doing and use my leading hand and my gravity to get him to feel like he's following my gravity, and he gets interested in me and he stays in with me and feels okay about it. And the idea is he starts to let down a little bit, and he finds it real hard to get that wither past me, and that's what a lot of horses have trouble with. And what we're trying to watch for is just them starting to sort of feel okay about it, walk softly. There'll be a lot of little expressions that he's starting to, especially in his eye and ears and muzzle, that he's going to start to feel okay. Now he's still nervous about doing this, but that's why I'm not pulling him any further. I'm just letting him trying to find it. Just trying to find a spot where he's just walked by me a little, and he's kind of allowed himself to go a little further past me so he can cope with me further down the middle of his body. And this lesson takes a little time, as I said before, but the thing about it is you sort of kind of work on leading, and you're not just kind of working on him standing still for you to handle him. You're just working on that leading and floating with that lead rope. So, you know, by the time you do get to the back feet, you hope that you've got a nice connection through the holder, that you could help him, you know, with other things. So I just let him settle there. You notice how he does move away a little bit when he comes past me. That's you know, of course he's going to want to do that, because it's you know, pretty well I'm just getting him to where the edge of the bubble that's too much, and then I'm just hovering him on it until he wants to go further. But basically, once I get further down here, or he gets past me, so it looks like I'm further down here, that bubble's going to get bigger. Here the bubble's a little smaller, but here the bubble's going to be bigger, and then at the hip the bubble's going to be bigger again, and that's why he runs off when he gets down there. And that's why it's important we just don't push down the sides, because the bubbles actually starts here and gets bigger here. So we've got to sort of just chip away by him chipping away at it, not necessarily us chipping away at it. And then, as I said, it'll fix the leading, but not only that, when you want to just send a horse by later on and just get him to steer around you and, you know, build for some sort of circle or lunging or anything like that, you've already got him used to thinking on you with one eye. Now, I'm not going to get him too far there. I'm going to let him out, but I'm not going to let him get that turn where he goes away just yet. I'm just going to let him come back. So if I had a longer rope, I'd probably let him out, let him do a U-turn anyway, and just start again. But I'm going to give him plenty of space when he gets that fright, and then I'm going to just put him back to where we started and just let him go by and go by and go by. You know, if you commit to helping these horses, you're obviously committing to, you know, helping and spending a bit of time, not just having quick fixes that fix them. You know, they've got to really, there. Yeah, I'd say we're only going to sort of get a glimpse at this side today. Maybe work on the other side another day, hopefully. Or that's why I'm here. The owner gets the idea that, okay, I've got to try that and 50,000 times this side, and then I'll better go and do it 75,000 times the other side. And and they can sort of gives them. I'll just work on the easy side today. No point working on the hard side first if they can't even walk past you on their easier eye. So yeah, there's no point making it. But as I say, it's about getting the balance right. A lot of these little ponies, they get sort of driven out and go around, and it doesn't help them anymore. So now I'm standing at his shoulder, so I've kind of whittled away that we can sort of stand here at the shoulder. I'm not very close to him yet because I don't feel he wants to come in any closer. The idea is we're just trying to get him to go by in a straight line, that instead of having a bubble that's sort of small here and gets bigger here like this, so his bubble kind of goes like this there. So, you know, he's wanting, when the hip's there, he's going to want that hip to be further away or run off. So what I'm trying to create, instead of a bubble, I want to create a straight line that's his bubble, that actually he says, well, that's too close. So if he allows me this close here, I want him to allow me the same distance away from him here and here and here. And that's why I'm doing it this way. I don't want it to be like a line like this or a bubble like this, that okay, I'm comfortable with you here, but here I'm comfortable with that distance, and then there I'm, you know, comfortable with this distance. So I'm whittling away to build a line where he can walk straight past me in a straight line and not have to sort of like this or run off. So we're just trying to do a straight line that he's letting his shoulder go past me straight. Good boy. Good boy. If he gets braced, I just keep on that lead rope. I might step out in front of him and fix the brace. If they brace, don't stand beside him and fix the brace. Just step out in front of him and see if you can just get him to fix that brace. Okay? Good boy. That's a little better. I felt him release a little there and offer to come through a little in a straight line there. And you see, I'm still trying to get him to keep moving. It's about moving, not standing. You know, these horses are good at freezing and bolting, and we don't want that. We just want them moving, softly thinking. There's a good boy. There's a good boy. You know, people get a little impatient with this lesson, and for the people who I'm helping and I've taught them how to lead their horses by, especially the nervous ones or sometimes the blocky ones, they go, my horse gets stuck, and it's maybe because they're trying to haul them through and get them past, thinking, oh, that's a pathway to lunging. Well, him, it's just a pathway to get him to let down in all these different positions. So it's going to take as long as he can take to just let down a little like he just did then. That was better. But you notice he deflected off me a little there because I got to that bit where the bubble's bigger. When I got to that, when he got just close to the girth area and the rib cage, that's where he started, the bubble gets a little bigger. Okay, so basically I'm just going to keep drawing him back onto that spot there where the bubble gets a bit bigger, and I'm going to bring him back again, and I'm just going to bring him past me to here. And the bubble gets a little bit bigger, so I draw back and I ask him past because that shoulder's going by nice, but then he bounces right at the girth and rib cage. Bounces at the girth and the rib cage, so I still have a bubble that's bigger at the back. And I guess the reason I do this is for when I was getting on a lot of really tough and wild horses that I had to start years ago, if I hadn't fixed this bubble at the rib cage there, then it was pretty winky getting on them. And because, you know, I might have got them to stand and carry a saddle, but if they still did that when they went around you, then chances are they were stepping away from them when you were getting on them because they were too nervous. So I used to work really hard in trying to break down that bubble where they could just walk by me like I'm a tree, and they didn't feel bad about walking by me in a straight line until they could walk by me, there's a boy, in a straight line without, you know, bowing out to the side. And they could walk by me in a straight line and have their hairs brush along my side without feeling bothered by it. Now his hair's pretty long. His little sensitive whiskers are sticking out here somewhere, so, you know. And slowly we just break down this little bubble here till he can walk by soft, and that's not that easy to do for him, and that's why I'm just walking backwards and letting him find it, you know, letting him find the answer instead of sort of imposing myself on him. That's really cool. He actually got this bubble a little closer here, which means maybe this one will get a little closer back here, but he's starting to actually relax and walk while his ribs are at me there, and he's just starting to feel okay about it. Good boy. There's a big brave boy. And if I just walked a little with you, would you get so offended by that? And he says, oh no, that's okay. There, we just settle together like that, and he goes, oh, I was always frightened of people getting around my rump. As I say, I haven't touched him on the rump yet, but he's starting to operate and move with me in that vicinity without skedaddling. And, you know, soon enough we could walk together and, you know, build him up for one reining and long reining if he was ever to be started or anything. But really, I'm only doing this to get him to, you know, my job, I believe, is to not sort of fulfill people's egos and, you know, say, okay, you want to ride down the beach without a bridle on and have this beautiful connection. My job, I see, is more so to help people with all their red flags, or help horses with the red flags first, so they can live a life around people and around vets and around farriers and not always think they're going to die, and just have all the tools that they need to survive and the confidence they need to survive. And then once the horses have those tools, then we can work on the person and what they'd like to do, and, you know, how they'd like to, you know, what they'd like to learn. But I think the most important thing with horses is, you know, red flags, the things that don't get the horse hurt or... So just getting him to walk by and operate by me, then basically when he gets to a stage that he can walk by and his hip is so close to me that he's not bothered by it, then when it gets to him standing there, I know when he moves he's not going to run away because he's moved by me so many times that the movement has been fixed. You don't teach a horse to stand and then wonder what it's going to do when it moves. You teach it to move until it moves softly and quietly, and then all of a sudden the horse will stand, no problems at all. And it's not that I'm making him move to feel uncomfortable so he wants to stand. That's not it at all. That's nowhere near what I'm trying to show you. What I'm trying to show you is, can he just get confident at doing that and settling there beside me? Now I know the bubble's still here, but the bubble's slowly whittling down, that he's allowing himself to go by and go out in a straight line. So And that's really good, and I feel his shoulders getting more interested in coming in on me there, like he's thinking about it's okay to. And there, see that rib cage there? Whoa! That was his hip go by. Probably broke it down there. I reckon he came in another 15 centimetres closer with his hip there, thinking it's safe to come by me like that. And not once have I sort of come in to sort of touch him on the hip. So what's happening, instead of me kind of him having the strong gravity and me being all over him all the time, what's happening is my gravity's getting stronger, that his hip's just walking by me like that and just drawing him back, and he's getting braver all the time. And I haven't even thought about handling him yet, because he's not ready for me to be sort of having a hand on him doing this. He's just trying to break down that bubble, so he's feeling a little better. There's a really good boy. And I just might walk with him a little while I'm at the hip, just to sort of show him, let's walk together. Good boy. And he goes, ah. You see, slowly letting down tension all the way through. Because once he knows he can deal with that, it'll make him feel so much better. Like, I see horses that I help at clinics, and they get hung up on the wrong side of the brace half their life. And all it takes is to get them over that little brace, or big brace for some horses. And once they've learnt that, oh wow, I didn't have to worry about that for so long, then it just opens up a whole new horse for them. Now, a whole new life for the horse, and a new horse for the person. Oh, that's really cool. Oh, I'm getting so close to that hip that I don't want to get greedy. You know, we get a little greedy too soon, and then all of a sudden he jumps away once and he goes, oh, you just got me. Okay, so the idea is I could nearly build this lesson till I could stand here and he could brush by me, like close. Like the idea with my rein, I'm slowly setting it up that he just brushes by me. Oh, I know, little Bruce, hey? You're having a little trouble, but you're getting a lot braver. And he just brushes by. Oh, there's a little skedaddle there. You know, he's a little trapped between that fence, so that was probably bad of me to set up the lesson with the fence there, because, you know, when they do feel like they're in a corner or on a fence, well, they start to feel trapped. Hey, little fella. There's a fella. There's a boy. There's a boy, and we'll just settle together and I'll stand at your hip. There. So this is what I'm aiming for. You can see it's him that's put himself, his hip to my hip. I've guided him there slowly but surely through just nice, just little pathways that make him end up there, but pathways that allow for his confidence. So as his confidence builds, it's kind of like he's put himself there. So it's not long, you think, that I could actually put my hand out and touch him on the hip. But you see how sensitive that is for him there. So that's why it's very important we just don't get him to stand still and go down his hip, because I think he'd always be explosive. But if we just got him to a stage that he actually got to a stage that actually he was right close to me and moving in a straight line, to me this lesson sorts out a lot of hind feet problems that we have in horses. You know, they won't stand for the farrier and they always skedaddle their hip out of the way or pull out of the way. Just getting them to do this is a really big thing. And then by the time you go to picking up their feet, they don't want to step away, they're just comfortable. So now I'm just going to give him a little space for that. He's done that's a big change there, so we're just going to leave him, and a nice little 4/4 yield there to follow that rein. 4/4 yield's one of those yields that I like to do on horses, because it's just like a horse just reaching out to follow its mum, looking and thinking. So I don't think I'm ready to go up to his hind quarter and rub him over, but what he did then was really important, so I'm going to leave him at that now. And I think if I can, well, for you, what I'd say to the owner, I'd say, you know, you've seen this, you've seen what I've got to here. Well, that's what you have to do on this side until maybe he could get a little closer doing that, and then you could start to build it on the other side, and then just work either side. But that's how I sort of, you know, go down, you know, not go down his side, but let him come down my side. Today what I'm going to do is going to work on what we worked on before. I've got a longer rope on him today, and just see if he can get a little softer at the leading, and I can get to a position where I can be working from the hip and him be confident about it. And as I said, I'm not trying to get down his side, I'm trying to get him to understand to come down my side. So by the time he gets there, he's followed the idea of the lead so many times that that's softening up a lot more. And there's so many times we lead our horses around, we leave them to in a post, on a post or in a float or something, and the only thing they got is that lead rope to help them, and it's important they really understand it. So as I say, I'm trying to kill two birds with one stone. So that's really nice there. Now, I know everyone would say, but you've got to do it on both sides, and yes, I'd want to do it on both sides, most definitely. My aim in this lesson is to show the owner some ideas, and yes, I'm working on the slightly better side because I can get a little bit done, and by the time he accepts me more at the back of him on the side that he's a bit more confident on, then it will transfer because you still have to work a long time on the other side, but we'll have better leading, a little bit more trust, and a few other things that'll make him a little easier to gain his confidence on the other eye instead of sort of going from side to side to side to side to side. I'm just staying on one side till we've sort of got that a lot more sorted and then working to the other side. But it's very important that it's your job as to even it up. You just got to sort of mirror image, I guess, what I'm doing and work on your horse where they're at. So I'm just going to start to lead him. Now you can see I want him, the whole idea with this lesson is I don't want him frozen. I'm trying to teach the horse not to go freeze, ready to run off, okay? Freeze flight. I don't want that. So instead of going down his sides while he's kind of standing there like that, even using approach and retreat and even working on his comfort bubble, you can still sort of get your horse a little too frozen. So the whole idea with this whole lesson is to keep him moving and following the lead. Now, what I'm doing here, I'm actually got quite a short lead now, and I'm just trying to get him to see if he can stay following me quite close, and get a little interested in me while I'm here like this quite close, because I know when I get down the side he's going to want to have a fair bit of distance between me and him. So what I'm just doing here, I'm just doing these ones, just getting him to follow me close, get him to free up a little, see where he's at with freeing up. I'm trying to just say, why don't you keep two eyes on there like that, and then I'm just going to work on putting him a little offset again. Okay, so just get him moving again. Really important to have him softly moving. Once a horse can move softly around you and there's no desire to skedaddle, run off, and they're confident, then basically standing becomes easy. But if you spend all your sort of effort in trying to get your horse to stand and not run off, well, chances are they're probably still going to have a run off in them somewhere along the way. So I'm just going to sort of offset him. Now I feel a big difference just even today, just putting him there, because what's happened there, he just sort of settled a little there, whereas I felt the day, 8 days ago when I worked him, he was sort of wanting to settle back here. He wasn't wanting to settle so far past me. So, and as I said, I did notice a big difference in just putting the holder on him. So I'm just going to sort of go to leading him by again. Now I've got a longer rope on him in case he gets out there, he can get to the rail. So I've got more freedom to give him when he goes by if he gets a little panic. And that's it there. There. Now you see what's just happened there. He's actually just settled himself down to that position that sometimes, you're catching him at, from the side. So for him to move into that position and not be so tight, that's good. I think that's a little better than the last. I'll know when I watch the last video if I'm just talking, going, talking in hope, but I actually have a feeling he's just offered me a little further. Now see, that's the rib cage getting close there, so you can see we're getting close to the ribs there. Now I haven't reached out and touched him yet because it's just about him moving by me in a straight line. I see horses that are sort of been working with their owners for 10 years at, in all sorts of things, and on the groundwork that horse still gets nervous walking a straight line past them, because sometimes in the information and the education that horse has thought I've got to step away from the energy of the person, because a lot of times we use energy to step our horses away. That's really cool. I think the last lesson, if he put himself there too early, he probably would have skedaddled a little bit by then. So to walk by my ribs like that, well, his ribs past my sides, really, really good. I'm really, considering that, honest to, I've only just led him in here. The only time I've spent is just putting a holder on him to get him over here, and I haven't not done this on this side and haven't worked on it, so I'm really happy that he's offering me that. And you see he's just getting a little finishy there, but he's kind of looks like he's confidently walking around. But have you noticed how he's kind of got his thoughts still to the inside? In the last lesson, that would have looked a bit like him trying to think away, come in, think away, should I run, should I not run? And that's why I'm working on this particular lesson, because if you don't have a good sort of, if you're not paying attention with him and he gets a spook, he'll run off and pull away. And so, yeah, I could work on a few different things. The reason I've chosen this particular lesson is because I believe that he needs to start getting handled and, to be able to get his feet trimmed and things like that and be a lot safer at understanding things. Now you can see him just walking around confidently there. Like, he's made a massive improvement in the sense of confidence at that angle near the hip there. And because he's really brave at going by and feeling okay and safe about it, well, it's going to make him so much better than just having him thinking he's got to get two eyes on you all the time. So I'm just going to stand here like that, just let him walk by. Now his hips are moving out a tad, but if you look at how quietly he's moving, it's really nice. And you can see there, we got a little better feel, and he's coming around a little soft there. So I believe that just sticking to that leading by on one eye and getting him a bit more confident, it's really made him come in with, I think, quite a big change. As I say, we haven't worked on the other side, but I'm just going to work on getting him by a little, and then, he gets a little stuck there. I'm just going to lead him off a little like that, and just, there's a good boy. There's a good boy. Good. Good. So the aim is just to have him on a lot of different angles, so I can shift in around here, and for him to stand there while I'm shifting here and have not have yet made a decision to face me or possibly tip away is a really good thing for his confidence. So when I start moving around here like that, pretty close there, and he's kind of keeping his thoughts on me, he's putting a lot more trust back here. And as I say, I haven't touched him yet, but that's kind of that area we just started to get onto in the last lesson. So, to have a week off and come back and put himself here fairly softly and willingly, I think. I've set him up to go there. I haven't dragged him there in the sense that I'm going to put you right there. I've sort of just took a little brace out of him with his leading, and then he just sort of willingly walks by. And I'm just going to let him settle there for a little. And then I'm just going to pick up a little feel on him and see if I can get him to come in like I'm his mother. What I mean by that is look for me and just open up his shoulders and walk to me like he's interested in me. So anyone that's done a little bit of work with me knows that I really try and one of the turns that I really like to get horses to understand is just following the feel of a direct or open inside rein, and get them to sort of lift their wither, loosen their shoulders, and just think into the rein, in the direction of the rein, and be interested in following it. Because once they're turning like that, they're turning like they actually look like they're soft. So that means if they're looking like they're soft, they're generally feeling a little softer. Okay, so you can see here he's just walking nice and steady past me like that. Good fella. Now there's obviously, we still got to touch him, don't we? There's that whole part of it that's got to, that we've got to work on. But the thing is he's got to be able to deal with us on this side first, moving and standing. I say moving, priority, as in moving by us and feeling safe, not just standing by us, coping. So if he can move by us, then when he moves away, if he's a little nervous, maybe he won't run off, he'll just move away just a little softer. Okay, so you can see if I crowd his bubble like that, he's still quite anxious, And that's why the whole time I've been trying to get him to come in past me. But then I've got to start to show him that I actually move and do things. And, you know, sometimes with these nervous horses, we start to get to a sort of a way of quietly working around them, and then suddenly, you know, things get out of hand, and we almost, they get a fright. So I'm just going to come in here again and see if I can get him moving by. But this time I'm going to just get him leading by my hand while it's up like this. Okay, so I'm just going to sort of draw him into me now. In this lesson, I want my magnetism to be a little stronger. Instead of me coming in on him, I'm just using my leading rein to help him back and come by again until he walks by, and I can do that. Okay, so that's going to be that part of sort of handling him all over. And if you feel like the horse is leaving, don't buy into them leaving. You just put a little draw in your body and let them come back into you. So I'm just going to sort of get him by here, see if he can lead by. If he's stuck, I'm going to just keep moving until he unfreezes like that. And that's, you know, that's why I stick to that leading, is I really want to know he can unfreeze with that lead rope. You know, there's too many horses that struggle in horse floats and pull back and frighten purely because some of that head pressure they freeze to. So see, just by walking him by there, I'm not coming in on him, I'm just setting him up to come in on me. There's a good boy. There's a good boy now. He's doing a real good job, and I'm just my job is to just keep him moving and keep him a little interested, and I think he's really, you know, keeping himself pretty well composed in the sense that he's thinking, and he looks like he's a little bit more trusting of me and more interested. So I'm just going to keep drawing on him like this and getting those front feet to move forward and around, not just kind of just turn on the hind quarter towards me, or turn on the turn on the high quarter in a stiff way. Good fella. So I just touched him. I'm going to move, but I actually want to touch him while he's moving. Okay, so I'm just going to do that. You see that there? So you can touch him, and that's the biggest thing why I teach horses this particular lesson, is because you can touch a horse standing and they're kind of frozen putting up with it, but as soon as they make a decision to leave, they're going to get away from that touch, just like he did there. So what I'm going to start to teach him now is I'm just going to keep him moving, and I'm going to start handling him while he's moving, not standing. So I'm just going to come in here like that now, and just, I'm not going to work on his hip because he's only just let me on his hip. He's only just walked past me, you know, so so I'm just going to come in there like that and just touch him and just get him moving a little towards me. Now, since I've touched him, he's got a little nervous and he's starting to get a bit wary, and you know, like that saying, he's sleeping with one eye open. He's thinking, hang on, what are you going to do to me? So I'm just going to keep working on getting those front feet unfrozen and his thoughts to just move forward and around and not just freeze and look at me like that. And that's just because I've touched him, he seems to be back where he was. So I'm going to just touch him there. I'm going to walk him in through like there, like that. I'm just going to come in here, draw back on him, and I want him to more so come into my touch than feel that I'm actually walking into him. So I want those front feet moving, and him to loosen up and just come along a little. Loosen up and come along a little. Good. Loosen up and come along. And just because my hand's here moving about, he's having little problems dealing with that. And I'm just going to come in and move him again. Good boy. And I just might put a touch in there. And I'm just going to just come in there, put a touch in there, and just take him around again. Come in. Good boy. Just show him that I'd like to be able to have him unfreeze and move softly while I'm touching him. That's the whole idea. I want him coming into my touch there. He's just getting a little softer there. Okay, I'm not going to stay in there for very long. There, he's starting to just come in there like that. And I just rub down his side a little further. So I'm just coming in there and just around now. Come back. If he starts to think he's leaving and getting a little anxious, I might just draw him back to me and just come around. And then every now and again I'm going to give him a little space to just think. But in this one, I'm just trying to get him to come through. And good little fella. Good little fella. Good little fella, now come with me. Good boy, that was a nice step into me. I'm trying to, look for that step where he's just thinking in and stepping in with his shoulders soft instead of freezing with the shoulders and moving the hindquarter out. Sometimes on these young horses, we encourage these hindquarter yields to make them face up. But that's a movement that they do sometimes when they don't want to go near something. So what I'm trying to get him to do is, can he come into my touch just like that and just keep moving in to me? And I got a strong gravity in here that's getting him feeling like I'm moving into him with him, and he's not eating me. He's not coming in on me, I'm coming in on him. And you can see now there, we're getting him to draw in a little to my little touch here, and that touch is getting further back down his body like that, and I'm just drawing him in there to my touch. So I started off just getting him used to going by until he felt a little more confident at going by. Now I'm just going to the area that I know. That's the area that you could touch him on to put oil on. He's been touched there, but still quite nervous there. But now the idea is I'm just saying, once you come into that touch again, and you see now I'm starting to get a little further over his top line, just like that. And I say, come into my touch again. And if it was looking like I was trapping him, then I'd go back to what I did at the start, is just give him a little more space to go out and come back again. But for now, we're just getting him coming into my feeling. Good fella, instead of us going down his side and moving into him all the time and him thinking he's got to move away all the time. So I've got a strong draw. I'm saying, come into me, come into me, come into me, until we're just side by side and he's dealing with that. Now see that there, I'm just going over his hip back there like that. He gets a little worried about that, but then I just say, once you come into my, come in here, mate. This is good. Good, now come in here, mate, and keeping him moving. Keep that soft movement around you so that the horses are getting never any time to freeze, just thinking about what they're doing and feeling better about moving around us. Now that's really nice. He's doing a circle around me there that's getting pretty close to me, so he's actually moving around me, thinking about me, instead of just moving like he's going to ping off. So his initial thing was, yeah, right, I'll do stuff with you, but there's no way I'm going to go by you like that or you're that close. So I'm just kind of getting him closer and closer, and we've got to be careful. Years of working nervous horses and really tough, twitchy horses that are, the saying that I say to everybody is, if you push a horse away, they'll soon know where you want them. Well, where do these horses that are real nervous want to be in the first place? They want to be away, don't they? So now I'm just going to let him stand a little bit and put up with that a little and see. I'm going to step away, give him a little space. Then I'm going to step him into me. That's a nice shoulder yield into me there. I'm going to come in here, I'm just going to rub him back over there. And then I might just do a little yield into me, bring his thoughts in a little, and we're just going to do it in little increments where he's standing while I handle him. I haven't gone too far back here just yet, because it's a big deal just to have him moving in here while I'm handling him here like that. I don't think it's going to take him too long if we stuck on these kind of little lessons to him to put a little more trust in us. I'm going to give him a little bit more rope just there. Good fella. We're just starting to get there. We're just working, so he's just working in with us now. Good little boy. I know you're still a little flinchy, so I'm not going to stay in there too long. Now I'm just going to give him a little time just to sort of say he survived that experience. But you see, he's still interested in me. He's kind of thinking about me quite strong, because basically he's been anxious, thinking something's going to happen to him, and by showing him it's not, and then retreating out of there, and he processes that a bit, and so all the things that he thought was going to happen didn't happen, and then he went, oh, that wasn't such a bad experience. So we're actually relieving his tension, so he will in the long run like to be around us, because he is feeling better around us, and all his worries are starting to get put to rest, in the sense of, oh wow, I didn't have to worry about that. And you see he's still there thinking here, that's pretty good, mate. And he does a nice yield into me there like that. So while we've been working on him getting a little softer down the sides, what's happening is he's starting to lead better, but get more confidence in me. So he's leading, into me. So I'm teaching him how to steer, just like that. And he's steering. And good. He's doing a really good job. So now I'm just coming down his side here. Yeah, I'm up to here, which is really brave of him. But just remember, the whole time I've spent there getting him to move and feel safe, and now I'm standing right close to him just here, and he's sort of just about at that hip area. Look at that. And he still says, oh, that's a little too much for me, that area. But you know, he's offered so much more this lesson so quickly, which I'm really happy and, you know, pleasantly surprised. I thought he'd be, you know, take a few more days in sequence to sort of really get that, but the last lesson made him feel good and put more trust there. I just went over the hip, and then I sort of, now in that area of the hip, when there's a real touchy area, you get in and get out pretty quick. You don't sort of, you know, stay in there. You want to sort of get in there and then, you know, touch and go, touch and go. Just come in here, touch and go. Good fella, good fella. You're doing really, really nice. I'm really happy. Eh? So we've got that established, but before I get to picking up the hind feet, which I'm probably not going to do in this video because I'm, you know, on a clinic run, and I've just tried to come in and offer some help and, you know, get some footage that might interest some people. Before I get to sort of picking up that hind foot or the front foot, or anywhere near that, I want to know that the horse can think softly to the inside, which I think he's doing an amazing job. He's thinking softly to the inside. He's thinking about me. But I'd want to be handling him while he's moving back in that area. So I'd really want to be able to handle his hip and have him walk around me while I handle him, so I'm not sort of underneath him and he's thinking, geez, I've got to get out of here all the time. So I would tend to start to work on just getting him to sort of feel solid about just getting to a stage that I can keep a hand on him here, and when he moves into me, I don't have to take my hand away. That's where we might start somewhere where he's comfortable, and then we could work our way back further, so we could have our hand here and he's comfortable with that while he's moving. So I'm just going to come in here like that, and I'm going to say, just come into my hand a little, come into my hand a little, and I want to know that he can move around me while I got that hand touching him, just like that. And he can steer, so he's learning to steer like that. Very nice. You've been brave, mate. You're doing a really good job. Yeah? And I just want him to steer in me like that. So, you know, when you're setting up a horse to be ridden, this is one of the things that you're sort of trying to set him up, is on both sides. You want to just walk with him softly, and so I'm just going to let him come in here and just stay with me at the wither like that, just walking around me like this. And this time here, I'm not sort of touching and going. I'm exposing him to be held on to a little while he's moving. And he's doing a real good job, but I'm not going to do that at the hip just yet. You know, he's thinking, oh, he's on me. And if he wants to escape, well, that's fine. I just step back and say, why don't you come back into my magnetism and just come back underneath me again. So I'm not going to trap him in there as such. But when he gets, you know, confident, he'll just come back underneath me there. And then we'll just join up again, and we'll go for a little walk together like this, where he's just walking with me, kind of underneath me like that. Now, this is only at the wither that we're walking together, but it's a big, now he gets a little worried there, so I kind of let him leave, and then I use my magic magnetism, which you've got to imagine that you feel really, hey, why don't you come over to me? You're not trying to haul him and trap him, you're just steering him back. You're staying really centered until he just comes back underneath and says, oh, I just come back underneath here. Okay, if he's feeling like you're trying to drag him underneath you, well, then there's a problem, and you might want to give him a little more space. But you want to sort of get him so he's sort of softly coming back underneath there. Good little boy, good little fella, good little fella. There you go. Whoops, I just touched you, didn't I? He said, you just touched me, so I had to freeze. I said, well, why don't you move again? Because you can move while I touch you. That's a good one. Good. If I just rub my hand there while you do that, that's really nice. Why don't you come back into that wither spot there? Good. Why don't you just walk under the tree branch? There. So we're just getting him to walk under a tree branch. So the tree branches, the trees don't attack the horses, see, and we're just trying to teach him that you just come under that tree branch there like that and you just walk underneath me. Good. And till he stops moving the hip away and he just walks around and I can hold him on the hip like that and he gets a lot more confidence on the hip. So I'm just going to come in here. I'm going to say, hey, why don't you come by? There. He just came right underneath me then. Well, underneath my hand. You know, so he's getting moving, but he's starting to move in the straight line underneath me instead as soon as I touch his hip, sort of skedaddle. Yeah, I know. It's a lot, isn't it, mate? So I can start to put that hand up while he's moving. And then he comes in here like that. Oh, you just stopped. That time there, he stopped while my hand was on his hip, but he didn't step away from my hand, which is a real big thing for him. He just stopped in there himself. You notice how loose he is in there now? He's kind of walking loosely around me. And I just kind of, good boy. He's coming underneath there like that. Good. And it's really big for him. You know, it's a massive big, you know, letdown to say, wow, I can just, that's, and I rub you on the hip. You know, that was more of an invisible rub, as in a sense he doesn't feel it, but he can see it. You know, he can see it. He's seeing me coming in. But I'm not coming in on him as such. I'm saying, hey, why don't you come in on me? And he's getting closer and closer, and we're sort of getting really close to that area there that he was protecting all the time. And as I said at the start of the video, or the start of this, is I haven't even done anything with the other side, but his confidence with me over this side now has improved, you know, heaps compared to the last lesson and the start of it. So, and it's easy to get him out of a freeze. You know, you see it goes, that rein is going straight there to his shoulders instead of sort of stalling first and then moving. So, you know, we're getting, the tools are getting a lot more, he's getting more confident with the tools and a better understanding. So by the time we get to the difficult side, you'd think that there's a few things in place there that help the other side become easier for us to, you know, so we can help him because we've got the tools and we've got a little more confidence. You know, what I'm going to show you just quickly, I'm not going to do more close handling. I think that's going to be something that happens over a couple of days, but another way of just getting him at different angles is now I'm going to use a little more space to get him by there. So now I'm just going to walk him by, let him out a little, yeah? And this time I'm just going to be in this yard a little bit while he walks by. Just lead him by here. Come on, little fella. Come on, little fella. And I'm just going to work on that simple lesson of go in a straight line and then come back. Okay, go in a straight line. I want him to think out and seek out and go out. That's fine. It's not about sort of going in a perfect circle around me or anything like that. Circles are just like an endless corner that never finishes, so I'm not a big fan of circles. So, because it doesn't teach horses to steer. Letting them go in a straight line, think to the outside a little, walk to the outside, and then turning them back is going to be a good way of getting him to steer. So what I'm doing now is just getting him going and coming and going and coming. So going and coming both feel the same. So when he goes, he's not troubled. He's just looking around, thinking around, just wandering around. When he comes, he doesn't feel troubled. Okay, so a lot of times in training, sometimes we make a horse feel a little troubled when we ask it to go because we tend to add a little too much drive and say, get away from me. And then the horse feels troubled, but it doesn't. We don't want him to feel troubled. We just want him to wander around. And then as he gets good at wandering around, I'm just going to gently follow him. And if I can pick a rhythm that's similar to his, it's going to be nice because I'm just going to tune into him a little. But I'm not going to try and pick his rhythm just yet until I can just follow without intimidating. So I'm just going to gently just follow him without intimidating him. And then after a while, when he gets confidence at me just following him like this, wandering around, he's going to go off in a straight line. And then soon enough, I'm kind of hoping that there'll be a point where I'm actually following him more from behind him instead of following him from the side of him. And that's what I'd be looking for. I'd be looking for him just wandering around, and I'm just wandering around with him, just going, I'm interested in what you're interested in, we're just walking together, yeah? Okay. At the moment, my rhythm is actually slightly slower than his, and I'm trying to be not very intimidating, so I'm just trying to kind of back off a little and just back off as I follow him and just gently put myself in a position that might be me following him and him getting used to me getting closer to over there opposed to off the side. And that's something we could slowly work on, encourage people to work on this with their horses. I found when I was training a lot of wild horses and unhandled horses, wild as in I mean unhandled brumbies and, you know, unhandled bred horses, not wild horses as in, you know, truly wild horses that come from genetics that, you know, like some of these places that have got truly wild, you know, breeds of horses. Once they let me work from the hip, and I found, why do I like working from the hip on both sides, is because once they accepted me from the hip, I could approach them from the hip, touch them on the hip, catch them if I wanted to. If I touched them on the hip, walking up their side, things like that. Walking beside them without them rushing or anything, and we just melted in together working from the hip. I found that they were quieter and they felt really confident. If I couldn't get to that position in my groundwork, then I always felt they were still a bit winky, and, you know, getting on them, they were a bit winky and things like that. But once I got those horses confident at working from the hip, okay, and they were confident, like to the stage he's getting now at the wither, but a little bit better than he's feeling at the wither, then it was a lot better, and the horses really started to get confident and accepting, and then picking up their feet was not a problem. You know, got down to picking up their feet and they were just like, oh, that's easy. But while I was still sort of winky and wanting to step away and keep me with two eyes on, then I didn't feel confident going down the back end and try and pick up those feet, because they really just needed to know that they were safe with you back there. That's what I've been trying to work on with him, and so I'm really, really happy with the way he's come through there. You know, really accepted me a lot further down. But for everyone who just comes into the video willy-nilly here and there, I'll say it again, I'm deliberately not working the other side because I'm just trying to make progress on this side till we can get right down his side, and then we transfer over to the other side. Yes, we have to work two sides of the horse. I'm only doing this as an educational video, and I spent the whole time swapping sides. We'd be here for a while. And also to help the owner, I've showed her where we can sort of get to if we sort of work on this, and then she's going to have to chip away on the other side and get that done. Thanks, everybody. He went super.